Good afternoon, Natalie. How are you?
Oh, Guillermo, I'm great. How are you?
Very good, very good. Finally, we are here together after some preparation before. It's good to
Absolutely.
go.
So excited. So excited to bring this information to all of our viewers. It's amazing how Miami has changed since the 1960s.
That's correct.
And so we're going to discuss today how it's changed, why it's changed, and who's changing it. So what do you think about that, Guillermo?
Well, for me, it's very important because I moved to Miami in 2004. So it's going to be my 21 year living in Miami area, even though that the last four I've been living in the West Coast. But I have been watching or being very close to what's going on in Miami. And for myself, for a long, long, long time, it appears like some areas like downtown Miami used to be like nothing happening. But now, if you fail to go in Miami downtown for 1 week, you're gonna be out of the surprise. Yes, that's the word.
Exactly.
Because there's a difference between 1 week and another. Some another project is coming. Some other, old building is teared down, and it's gonna be a new construction over there. So the dynamic from the last 5-10 years has been like crazy, and the pace has been very fast.
Yes, the growth is here. I just came back from Los Angeles, and to see the stagnant area of Los Angeles compared to Miami, and we have some pictures coming up soon to show people the difference from 1960s here in Miami downtown Brickell area. It's actually phenomenal what has happened.
That's correct. That's correct. And I believe, I don't know, probably how long you have been living in, because I know you're from Alaska. And
yeah. I've been coming to Miami as a snowbird since 2005. Okay. And moved here completely in 2017. So I'm what most consider as a transition specialist, because I moved myself across the country to get here to this beautiful city and state. Florida has so much to offer, and the beauty of our downtown and what the art show that it's becoming, the skyline, it's gorgeous.
That's correct. And I love that picture. And we can talk about this little picture because that's a very iconic picture, because this one is the Biscayne Boulevard Avenue, one of the most important ones starting in downtown Miami, that I want to talk about, because that's going to be the spot where the first high-rise building from Miami is going to build. It's already in the 15th floor, but it's going to go all up to 100 floors, which is the Waldorf Astoria Tower.
Absolutely.
That hopefully we're going to have it for 2027, 2028. That's going to be the completely change on the the skyline of Miami downtown. So, and that's specifically steps away from this picture that we have over there, right?
Yes. So if we move to the next picture, we can go over, this is the 1960s, the tallest building that was there back then. Then the 70s got a little bit more. The 80s got a couple more. But look at the 90s. 2000 and 2010. Look at how fast it has changed, and the population. If you see the population, so why is it changing? How are we building all of these buildings? Who are occupying all of these buildings? So our population from 1960 went from 935,000 people. From today, it's 2.7 million.
That's incredible.
It's incredible. We have over 1,000 people moving to Florida every day.
That's also a fact, and it's incredible that in this picture that we have here is also a combination of many things. But for the 60s, who really take the decision to move in the Miami area, in Florida area, South Florida area, it was the snowbirds. People from up north that they want, a little bit more warm weather, and they want to be, in a better situation for weather, and they start populating. Look at that, nothing less than 1 million persons population was in the 60s.
Mhm.
And then you see the 80s, you say Cuban migration, but you have to put that step also on Latin America, especially Venezuelans, that we have a very powerful economy at that moment. So we start developing a lot of Brickell area. We were one of the first buying as an investors in Brickell area for that 80s to the 90s. So,
Yeah, you guys own a lot.
yeah, we're still doing it. But
I know those are predominantly our investors now are from out of state, out of the country. So yeah, condos are booming.
that's correct. And then you see a peak on the 2000s, and it grows considerably.
Mhm.
I think it's the most important growth is around 2000, and being 2007 is a good. I mean, 2024 and 2.7 million is a good number, but we're not counting how many people is just transition, as you mentioned before,
Yeah,
living in Miami just for a couple of months, living in Miami for a week,
Yeah.
or just came in here just for holidays or vacation, which is another number, probably greater than the 2.7 million people. Is
right.
around 5.7 through the airport, and another 3 point something up through the port. So
Well,
we're talking about 8 million
uh-huh.
transit people around Miami area.
And that's what changed. So what changed from 1960s to 2024? In 1960s, we had a lot of retirees buying. They were buying really cheap. The average home price was $180,000. And now you see the average home price in 2024, just last year, was $610,000. So that means the people that are moving here are investing in investments now.
That's true.
That's
And
very
that makes a reflection that always, and you have this situation also with your customers. Okay, I'm waiting for the price to go down, and it's real that Miami is gonna go down, guys. If you make your numbers over here since the 60s to 2024, which is around 44 years, you can see not only population growing, but as well as you can see housing prices, as just Natalie mentioned. You go from 180 average price to 610,
right.
which is the lower price that we can find now for a property
Right.
in the South Florida area.
And
But even though, go ahead.
I'm sure you have this with your clients. Yes, but another crash is going to happen. So you see in 2010, the market did go down to 195, the post crisis, right? And they thought that's what was going to happen in COVID. However, what happened is we had a lot of tech companies, Citadels moved here, a lot of banks have moved here because they've realized this state allows us to live freely, work freely compared to other states. Not to mention our taxes are cheaper. And the way of life we have here, we have a great two international, I believe, airports. Fort Lauderdale too, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So we can
And Orlando, not nearby, but Orlando is.
So yeah, we can get in and out of the country very easily from here.
That's correct. And as you mentioned, that's incredible because you point COVID, and of course, COVID before COVID. During COVID, probably we have a crash down because the market's slow, everything's slow.
Mhm.
But Florida was one of the states, the 51 states, that it was completely open.
Completely on fire. I mean, we were so busy. It was unbelievable. We didn't have 1,000 people moving here a day. We had 2,000 people moving here a day. And so we ran out of single family homes. That's what we least have right now are single family homes. There's hardly any, especially 30 minutes close to Miami. So those prices are not coming down. And brand new condos are definitely not coming down either. As you can see, we still have the people coming every single day.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not for now. I believe that when I saw the last graphic from the the prices in South Florida, you always see not a la flat line, but you see like upside downs, but
Mhm.
always is a growing line. Even though that you can see some crash downs, it's always recovering, down recovery, down recovery, and the prices has been growing all the time. No?
Yeah. So as you can see here, 2.5 million people have moved here since 2010. It just keeps going up. And Miami ranks number 3 in the United States for remote workers.
Mhm.
Who wouldn't want to live in the sunny state of Florida and be able to work remotely?
Yeah, definitely yes. And we're going to have an incentive very soon if one new law is passed through the Congress and Senate, which is our governor Ron DeSantis is working on for one reason, which is important for all the homeowners in Florida State. We don't pay any more property taxes, and if
Exactly.
this law is coming, it's going to save you a lot of money, and it's going to be a great incentive for more investors to come, because at the end it's going to be one of the, now Mississippi is working on it, but probably we're going to be the first or the second one approving that law, which is great for everybody. That's going to bring a lot more people trying to move to Florida, as well more investors to uh, make Florida the best spot to make the investment. So that's really the key point to how to understand the prices keeping growing, because the offer and demand is what determines the price point on any market, and that's the case on Miami or South Florida, especially Miami, because we have so many people demanding to have a house and so little inventory that people, is that what creates that environment of all the time growing and all the prices increasing. No?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I was checking that the more people coming from New York and California, that's correct. That's what I saw.
Yes. Yep. Chicago, New York, California, New Jersey. And it's mainly because of their laws have changed drastically after COVID. And they're getting high taxes, hit with very high taxes. So they're all at that age too, that they want their 50s, and they are starting to think about retirement.
Of course. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I believe we get again through the weather point, because at the end, people who's retiring, they don't want to deal again with, snow
Snow.
shoveling.
That's me. No cold,
Correct.
no rain.
Exactly. I mean, we have several, other situations, like probably like everybody else in the world, like some overheating days, like it's a situation of the weather, global warming
Right.
situation. Or probably we have some storms during the storm season, but it's nothing compared to another, situations like when you get on your house and you
Mhm.
have like 6 8 feet of snow that you cannot go out, and it's not easy to, because the storms, people says, okay, you got a great storm, yeah, but we, after 12 hours, we're done. We have clear skies, we have sunny
It's
out,
gone.
nothing happens here, probably damages all around, but you can fix everything together and get
Yeah.
back on track.
And not just the weather, but we have great health here. That's something that I have lived through with my parents. I'm sure a lot of people have realized that Florida has great health services here for senior citizens, for us as well. We have so many options.
That's true. Well, my area is the West Coast. I live in the West Coast since like COVID, and I know the whole state have a lot of retirees, but in
Mhm.
my area, specific Naples area is where I live,
Mhm.
the greater population is from people who's completely retired. We have a great snowbirds coming from November to April, but once they come, couple of times, couple of years, just to get away from snow, they decide to buy or their second home just to come from those seasons, or their future homes, and
Right.
they start just making plans to sell up north houses and come down. and retire on this area. So as you mentioned before, especially Naples is so focused, is so oriented to help people who's retired, that
Mhm.
mostly of the companies of wealth management, insurance, medical services are based on that area. They have headquarters, especially working for the people who's living there, because they know the people who's going to live there is going to need those kind of services. So
Absolutely.
it's exactly what you said over here in this
Supply and
this
demand. That's the reason for our supply and demand. Um, Housing crisis, housing market here is just on fire there. So one of the things that's happening is various companies are moving to Miami.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So in the
not
Miami,
special, not especially for retirement people, but some others. Let's
no,
see.
that's the thing is everybody's moving here. So we have retirement, as we can see here. We have the international tourist industry as well. Um, this is where people come to vacation and relax. Our beaches are beautiful. Our weather is great, usually warm. So that's why people are coming and enjoying Florida. That's why people are investing in Florida, because they can rent out their investment also.
Yeah, that's correct. And once people, as I mentioned before, once people try once, you just need one. You get in love from any part of Florida, because it doesn't matter where in Florida you stand up, you're gonna find some magic. For example, in the West Coast, you're gonna have the best sunsets ever all over the coast, and
Amazing.
we're talking about probably 500, 600 miles of beaches
Yeah.
that you can just step out and watch a beautiful sunset every single day. So no matter where you land in Florida, you're gonna have a beautiful natural environment that is gonna make you love this
Sure.
state. No?
Well, look at the international visitors just from 2010 to 2023. It went up from 12.5 million visitors to 18.8 million. And today we see this, Guillermo, all the time. They made a beautiful convention center down in South Beach, gorgeous. We're constantly having the Art Basel Music World Tour. Plenty of things to do here. There's always something to do. So there's a reason why international and in the United States, people visit Florida all the time. Not to mention Orlando and the Disney parks and all of the parks.
Correct. It's incredible, and it's great that you put our Basel over there in our beautiful convention, remodeled like 4 years ago, because it used to be an old-fashioned one.
Yeah.
They do they revamp it because uh, we need it. Definitely, we need it. They're now. I don't know if you know, but they're right in the corner of this photo that you have over there. They're building a new Hyatt, probably
Mhm.
400 and something new rooms next to the convention center, because we need it. There is plenty of hotels around, but they're not nearby, or there are small hotels that you cannot support the demand. But we were there, and I want to mention our broker EXP do our annual convention in 2024, and hopefully this year we're going to have it again 2025. And we just being there 17, I mean 60,000, 6,000 agents at the same time using the facilities all around. That's one of the events, just us, just our broker. But as you mentioned, we have our Basel. We also have the Miami Boat Show that is running in February,
Mhm.
that pack every area on Miami Beach. And then we have next to that Fort Lauderdale Boat Show that is also bringing people to down South Florida, Miami Beach, and all that area. And especially in these last 2 months, April and May, we have the Tennis Open, which is one of the greater sports events that we have. And we're right on next 2 weeks, we're going to start receiving Formula One fans to have the Formula One Grand Prix of Miami, which
Yeah.
is another spot to bring more people to. So when you are thinking in an investment in Miami, you have to think what is the kind of market that you have to support your investment is if it's two side of an investment. If you want uh, to be a great value of your property and that your property is gonna reevaluate in the future, or if you want to have that property for any of those uh, visitors like Airbnb property or long-term properties, you will need this kind of environment or events around you that's going to give you a great return on your property.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about, having a great return on your investment. There's so many things to do. People think Vegas never sleeps. What about Miami? And even if you get bored of Miami, we have the Bright Line that you literally jump on for pretty cheap, and you go anywhere, and it's very quick.
And at first class, because
Yes.
it's a new train, no matter if you take the premium cabin or the regular cabin, you have full service. You have a beautiful two stations in Miami and Orlando. You make the whole tram in 3 hours. We did it last week with a bunch of our team. We went to Orlando to an event that we have,
Yep.
and right at the end of the day, we just jump in and we get back at night. We were everybody sleeping in Miami again. So you mentioned, yes, great to if you're worried of driving 3 hours or whatever, you just worry less, worry free, jump in the train. You can work 3 hours if you're working. You have full internet all the way down, up and down. So it's a great, it's a great tool for just move out from Miami and Orlando.
Right. So let's see what next slide comes. The buildings from 2010 to 2025, because I think it's important to show how the market has changed. So the original prices, this is the Brickell Financial District. Okay, so this is very booming district right now. We have attracted a wide range of global financial firms here. So this is the numbers. Original price from 2013 to 2015 was 500,000 between 500 to 600,000 pre-construction. And those prices have substantially gone. And it's because of the location, close to the subways, the banks, the restaurants. You have everything at a walking distance. It's clean. So I just got back from Los Angeles and I was so shocked at how that town looks. So I think everyone should Brickell.
And you didn't mention, but you know that as a fact that it's a safe city. You can walk all over. As you mentioned, you have a walking distance, but sometimes you have walking distance that you cannot walk. In this case, you can walk.
You can walk.
You can
increase the price from $600,000 to $1.3 million. Again, let's talk about investment here. Is that not a great return on your investment? Not to mention all of that time you were renting it out and or using it yourself.
Yeah. No matter what the purpose that you are buying, anyway, you're going to have a return. You're going to have a good return on your investment. So that's what everybody investing is waiting for. I mean, it's no brainer to do in Florida if you just look the numbers. And I want to mention something, Natalie, because it's very important to let that people know that this is a hard data that we are finding in National Association of Realtors or our Miami, Florida Realtors. So people who is watching this, you just can swim by to these websites and you can find this data that Natalie is showing. It's not our invention, or we want to show you to make you happy or to make you take a decision with us. No, it's a hard data. You can find it. And even though if you don't want to do that job, our great friend GPT, he will tell you. And one thing that is important, once you finish telling GPT what you want to know about Miami prices and all that, ask GPT the source. And he's going to tell you the right source. And you're going to find U.S. Bureau of Census, U.S. Bureau of Financial, or Commerce, or the Bureau of Commerce. So you're going to find that it's a hard data, not an invention just to make you invest in Miami or South Florida.
So this is actually directly from the Miami-Dade County tax.
Even better.
Just a few. I believe there's another slide next that's another building, which was Mint. Mint and Ivy were created on the River District, and they're completely transforming that district. And it's also beautiful. I can't remember how much they're bringing to that. I think it's $8 billion with brand new restaurants, a water taxi, just like they have a water taxi in Fort Lauderdale. But we have to think back to the Chicago River. How did that used to look? Because our river needs a little bit more work, but it's coming along. It's looking beautiful and gorgeous. So.
Yeah, it's correct. In the second picture, I want to point something that is very important. And you can see in the second picture, right far on the back, the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, which is located in Brickell Key.
Yeah.
And they used to have still there, a small area behind the hotel, an empty lot that used to be a park. Now is the new home for Mandarin Oriental residents that is going to be starting building very soon. And listen to this, guys. That hotel that has been there for probably 20 years is going to be teared down, and they're going to build a new tower residence and new hotel.
Yeah.
So they're going to spend probably between 5 to 7 years building that, and they're going to close that hotel just to get that proportion of gains in the future that is going to be so great that they are going to shut down an hotel operation for several years. And that's incredible. I was so amazed when I visited Mandarin Oriental, and I knew, and I was asking to the developers, I says, you really going to tear down that building? Yes, we're going to tear down. We're going to, revamp the whole thing. We're going to build it again. So that makes you, realize that at the end, they're betting that the future of that area is going to be so great that doesn't matter if you're going to spend many years just building, the income, the future income is going to be so flowing in so many ways that they're substantially, that's the word, that for sure they're going to recover all the money that they're going to somehow lose and invoice in those 5 to 7 years.
And that's exactly what's happening everywhere in Brickell Key. All of these older buildings are getting either torn down or revamped because they really need it. I mean, they're from the 1960s, 1970s.
Correct.
The salt water itself destroys these buildings. So they're building with new and better construction. And if they're building these buildings and so many, imagine the vision that they have for Miami.
Correct.
So here's, you see the Mint at Riverfront. Mint and Ivory were built, well, I believe Ivory was built back in 2006. Yeah.
Yep.
The pre-construction prices started at $549, and they're selling now for $980. And they're beautiful buildings, very well located.
Oh, yes.
And
right in the front of the river, and steps away from Brickell City Center. You can walk to Brickell City Center. And as you mentioned before, we're not gonna spot our next webinar, but something's happening in the river, guys, and we're gonna show you very soon what's going on. Natalie and me, we're working together on something to show you, but something is happening. So any of the properties like this one in front of the river, they have a special, particularly growing value very fast.
It's the way of life. It's a lifestyle that's coming to both the River District, the Brickell District. Brickell Key is also a different type of lifestyle. They have it all. Restaurants, nice places to go and have a nice cocktail, parks if you have dogs and pets. Great things all in walking distance. This will be a number 10. I believe it's walkability.
Yeah, walkability. Yeah.
Right.
And they're working to connect the whole area, to connect Edgewater to downtown Miami, Brickell area. A walkable pathway that you can use. People can walk all over. That's amazing. Because that's what we have in Miami Beach, but we never think about that these three areas will be connected in the future just to walk around.
And there is no more land left. So we need to stress the fact that these prices today are still going to increase because there is no more land to build on.
Right. Yeah. And whatever piece of land was over there was quite expensive.
Very expensive. Yeah. So I believe the next building is the Ivy. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's the Ivy. So that went up even more. That was built in 2009 during the financial crisis. So it's gorgeous. Yeah. So this is exactly what we were talking about. The annualization return is 9%, 8.5, 9.3. It's just great return. Plus, you get to enjoy it, and you own a piece of the pie that is no longer going to exist.
And it's important when you get in this one. I want to point something that yesterday I was doing a webinar regarding this, and I want to give this point to our people over here. Normally, people doesn't invest 550 or 548 or 800.
Mhm.
They invest less because you can, as an investor, living in the U.S. and also if you're outside of the U.S., if you're an international investor,
Yeah.
you have the possibility to have finance the rest of the property you want to buy here. So
Mhm.
Americans, citizens probably can buy between 5 and 10% of a down payment. International, they're normally between 20 to 40%. It depends on the property. But at the end, you're going to spend part of the money, but the property is going to work for you. So those numbers that Natalie is showing here, it's only comparing the price of the property itself, but
Mhm.
not the investment value that the people do. For example, let's do a quiet number over here. For a person that buys certain brickle 550, and probably he just put a 50%, which is around $225,000. The investment was 225. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now the apartment is $1.3 million.
Mhm.
And probably the person never leaves that, just rented for, a year or yearly basis, or probably use it as a Airbnb. Doesn't matter, mixed use, whatever they do. So somebody pays the difference between, or somebody pays that credit, that mortgage during these 10 years that happens. So you, as an owner, you never pay that. You just put the $225,000. So if you do the numbers on 9% annually, which is the great job that Natalie did over here, against your investment, is probably way more. It's probably around 18 to 20% annually, comparing to your investment, not to the price of the property.
Right.
So these numbers are great just like that. Okay, just comparing peers with peers. But if you really go deep down, the numbers are greater and better for you guys. So,
absolutely. So what I did is I pulled the Miami-Dade tax reports, and those are the numbers that I work with because those are the numbers I can actually show. So the other numbers would be diving deeper in, like you're saying, ask them, okay, how many years did you have this rented? What was the rental price? Because like I said before, even the rental prices have gone from $1,500 in this location to over $45,000, $6,000 for a unit now, because everybody wants to be here. Nobody needs a car. It's all walkable. They have everything at their fingertips. So even that has changed.
Now when you mentioned that, when I used to move here, when you were in any meeting and you were saying how much you're paying for rent, and you mentioned like $5,000-$6,000, wow, you're paying so much money. Because in the early 2022, or I mean 2024, 2004, sorry, 2006, that was a lot of money for rent.
Of course.
But now it's normal. It's a cheap rent if you're paying $5,000, $6,000 in Brickell downtown area, and we're reaching out to 10, 12, $25,000, as you mentioned before. So it's normalizing the number. Like, you know, it's a different story between the last 20 years. And
Well, again, it's all supply and demand. It's who's moving here. How many people are moving here? We don't have enough space for them. So I believe the next slide is the building for the Viceroy.
Viceroy. Okay.
Yes. Well, we can talk about, you know, the key findings too. You know, the rate of return on your money. You could go to the S&P 500, get 10% annually. Like we said, though, I only showed the 9% because it's what's shown on paper. Now, if you want Jadamo or Natalie to run these numbers for you and do a full analysis of how much rent is, how much you can, you know, charge and stuff like that, it comes out to, I believe, over 14%.
At least.
Yeah.
Being conservative.
Right. I always like to be conservative. So where's the next chance to invest? There's a lot of options. It depends on what you're looking for. But one of my favorites is the Viceroy Brickell. Because it is very close to the river. It's very close to Brickell downtown, very close to Miami, also Key Biscayne. I like to run, so I like that area because you could just get right on there and go for your run, and you have a lot of outdoor life there. But this building is amazing. It has it all. You've been there, right, Guillermo?
Yeah, we went there like 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things is great for our investors is it's going to be ready for the end of this year, later in the first quarter of the next year, which is awesome because you're going to do an investment. You can use it like right away.
Yeah,
rent
the
it right
prices
away.
are great. The prices are great. I believe right now it's 30%. 30% down. Yes. But this building is specific and very special because it is an all-inclusive building. It has everything. And also, you belong to a hotel club that is all around the world. And the hotels are amazing. Not necessarily that this building specifically is a hotel, because it's not. This is the the Viceroy Residences of Brickell. But you do have the ability to use their hotel services and get discounts and be a part of that club.
Yeah, you're going to be in a residence building, which is not for short rentals. It's going to have some restriction for rentals.
It's 12 times a year.
Exactly. You can do it like 30 days minimum, 30 days. But at the end, you're going to have this high standard hotel service, and you're going to feel as you are being in a residence feeling like in a hotel, which is one of the best thing. And you can just look at that picture, and you have next to you another great building. And I'm going to mention that just for the purpose of valuation of your property or revaluation of your property, because the building over there is the Baccarat. Baccarat. The people who doesn't know Baccarat is one of the most important crystal manufacturer in the whole world, luxury crystal manufacturers. So when you look for a Baccarat, like could be dining piece or could be a lamp, because they have many, these chandeliers, Baccarat chandeliers, they're very, very, very expensive. Imagine those guys decide to do a tower, which is the same developer doing Viceroy is doing Baccarat, and you're going to have that next to your door. So you're not going to have access. They're not going to have mixed use. That's not the point here. But the point here is that tower is bringing also more value to your property in Viceroy, and vice versa, which is awesome because you're having your next door building neighbor bringing more people to attract to your property too. So I want to be there. Oh, I'd love it to be in Baccarat. I don't have the budget to go there. Well, you have Viceroy next to you, either or you want upscale thing, or you hit Viceroy, you can have Baccarat next to you. So that's very important. And I want to mention also, right on front of that is the Hyatt right now. They're also building a huge complex, new 3 towers, new hotel. So as you mentioned before, the river is going to bring,
This is the river.
it's
Yeah.
going to be so alive. No?
But the baccarat is already 80% sold out. Also,
It is.
very, very important. And the baccarat is not going to be finished until I believe 2029.
Yeah, and another thing used to be at very cheap prices that start probably around the 800s,
Yes.
but nothing there now is less than $2.5 million.
Nope. Everything is going up. So we hope you enjoyed this information. We have a special surprise on the 30th of April, and this is regarding the rest of the amazing things that are coming to the River District, because those two buildings were right there on the
Correct.
entrance of the river. And we'll just go over what's happening on the 30th. But I hope that everyone enjoyed this information, because Miami is changing.
No doubt. Thank you, Natalie, for this space that we have. And certainly, we have been running our information. You can refer to us in any of our social media. Go to our YouTube channels, our Instagram account. Just hit the buttons. Just like ours, be subscriber, like our videos, and you can refer to this information, some other valuable information that we have on our channels. And don't miss out that we're gonna have a special chapter on April the 30th. And we don't want to spoil alert that, but it's gonna be great that you know what's going on. Yeah, and we have a special speaker. That's the point. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Good afternoon, Natalie. Thank you very much for being here. All that powerful information. Bye.